You're holding your father in your arms, but he doesn't look at you. His eyes are wide open, yet there's no recognition. You call him by name, softly, then louder, but to him that name is nothing but sound. Yesterday he remembered. Today, you're a stranger. He didn't fall, didn't get sick overnight. He simply began fading. Not his body, but his memory, his soul, his story. And you're right there, watching the person you love being slowly erased. And there's nothing you can do. The most terrifying part of memory loss isn't forgetting someone, it's being forgotten. It's watching yourself vanish from someone else's world until you're just gone. And the worst part? It doesn't start with something loud. It starts quietly, with tiny habits, seemingly harmless, small compromises, daily choices that feel innocent. And then, suddenly, there's silence where a person used to be. More than 2,000 years ago, a wise man named Lao Tzu warned us. The mind doesn't die from time, it dies from the choices we make. If you don't know these 6 silent killers of memory, you may already be walking that path. But the good news is it's never too late to step off it. This is not a video about fear. This is a video about awareness, about the deep and powerful connection between your daily habits and the clarity of your mind. If you care about your health or someone you love, please support our channel, Mindful Awakening, by subscribing and leave a comment with the word 1 if this message speaks to you, or 0 if it doesn't. Your voice helps us continue to share life-saving wisdom like this. But let's begin at the beginning. They say he rode out of the city on a donkey, alone. At the border, he stopped and wrote down everything he knew, not about money or war or power, but about the soul, about time, about the mind. His name was Lao Tzu. And though he left no palace, no treasure, he left behind a system, a map for staying clear even when the world gets loud. It was simple, like breath, but strong like thunder. It didn't treat symptoms. It preserved the self. It helped wise elders remain sharp until their final breath, to remember their children, to remember themselves. There were 8 points on the body, 6 internal enemies, and 1 truth. What you do not release will one day consume you. But few listened. People kept chasing, judging, storing resentment. Today, we live longer, but we don't live better. We're not losing our minds because we're old. We're losing them because of what we choose over and over again. If you think this doesn't apply to you, ask yourself, how often have you walked into a room and forgotten why? That's not aging. That's the first crack in the glass. And the first crack often comes from something that seems good. Let me tell you what it is. Silent killer number 1. The thirst for approval. She did everything right. Was a good daughter, a kind wife, a giving mother. She never argued, always made sure everyone else was happy. Even at 75, she still asked, "Do you like it?" Not because she was curious, but because she feared the answer no. Then came the diagnosis, early-stage dementia. She forgot appointments. She forgot where she left her keys. But worst of all, she forgot who she was, because she had spent her entire life being who others wanted her to be. The need for approval is a bottomless pit. The more you try be liked, the further you move away from yourself. And a brain that's constantly pretending gets tired, it gets confused, it gets lost. Lao Tzu said, "He who tries to please everyone knows not himself." And he was right. When you live for other people's approval, your memory doesn't serve you, it serves them. You fear judgment. But the real tragedy is when you forget who you are. Modern neuroscience confirms this. Chronic stress from social pressure damages neurons, especially in the parts of the brain responsible for memory. Every time you look into someone else's eyes for validation, you lose a small piece of yourself. And it doesn't stop with you. This fear gets passed down to your children, to your grandchildren. It spreads like mold. But it can be stopped. Start by telling yourself, "I matter, even when no one claps for me," because without that, you'll never truly belong to yourself. Silent killer number 2. Constant noise. The human brain wasn't built for this much sound. Ping, buzz, scroll, click. There's always something demanding your attention, but attention is energy, and when it's scattered, your memory suffers. You don't notice it at first. You just feel a little more tired than usual. You reread the same sentence twice. You forget why you opened your phone. But slowly, something inside you becomes numb. Not because you're aging, but because your brain is being suffocated. Imagine a wise elder in a mountain temple. Would they spend 8 hours a day watching videos at 1.5x speed? Would they fall asleep with the TV on and the radio playing in another room? Of course not. The brain needs stillness. It needs pauses. Because memory is not written in motion. It's carved into silence. Lao Tzu warned, "Silence is a source of great strength." And science agrees. In one study, participants who sat in silence for just 2 minutes a day showed increased activity in the hippocampus, the part of the brain responsible for memory. But what do we do instead? We fill every quiet moment with noise. Noise while eating, noise while walking, noise while falling asleep. We fear silence. Because in silence, we hear ourselves. And some people haven't listened to their own heart in decades. So what's the antidote? Start with 5 minutes. No phone, no music, no tasks, just you sitting quietly. At first it will feel strange, even uncomfortable, but then something will shift. Thoughts will slow, breath will deepen, and your memory? It will begin to breathe again. Silent killer number 3, sitting still. Let me tell you a story. A monk once asked an old master, "What's the best medicine for a tired mind?" The master smiled and said, "Walk. Then walk some more." Modern life has trapped us in chairs, and the brain? It suffers when the body doesn't move. It's not just about blood flow, it's about rhythm, balance, neuroplasticity. Each time your foot hits the ground, your body sends signals to your brain, signals of motion, signals of safety, signals of life. Movement clears out stress hormones. It increases brain-derived neurotrophic factor, a molecule that's like Miracle-Gro for memory. But we don't move. We sit to eat, sit to work, sit to rest, and then we wonder why our thoughts feel heavy and slow. In Okinawa, Japan, home to some of the longest-living people on Earth, there's no such thing as working out. But people move constantly. They garden, they walk, they squat, they stay in motion, and their minds stay sharp. Lao Tzu said, "A good traveler has no fixed plans," and silent killer number 4. Suppressed emotion. "My mother never cried," the woman said proudly. "She was strong, never complained, never showed weakness." But years later, that same mother forgot her daughter's name. We've been taught that emotions are dangerous, that crying is weakness, that anger must be hidden, that grief is something to get over. But here's the truth. Unfelt emotion becomes poison. It doesn't disappear. It buries itself in the body. And the brain? It carries that weight until it breaks. Studies show that chronic emotional suppression is linked to memory loss, anxiety, and even Alzheimer's. Because when you don't feel, your brain has to work overtime to protect you. It builds walls. And those walls block not just pain, but joy, connection, memory. Lao Tzu wrote, "When I let go of what I am, I become what I might be." Tears are not weakness. They're release. They make space for clarity. They wash away the fog. Talk, write, cry. Find a safe place and let your heart speak. Because the longer you hold it in, the more you'll forget why you're hurting. And eventually, you'll forget altogether. Silent killer number 5, the fear of change. There was a man who had the same breakfast every day for 42 years. Same route to work, same chair, same news. When his wife died, he didn't know how to live, because everything familiar had vanished. Our brain needs novelty. It needs mild stress to stay young. Without change, we become mechanical, and memory fades from lack of stimulation. You don't need to move to a new country. You don't need to skydive. You just need to challenge your mind. Try a new recipe. Learn a new word. Take a different route to the store. Neuroscientists call this cognitive flexibility, and it's one of the strongest predictors of long-term mental health. Lao Tzu knew this too. If you realize that all things change, there is nothing you will try to hold on to. Let go of routine. Not entirely, but just enough to keep your brain guessing. It's not too late. Not if you choose to grow. Silent killer number 6. Starving the soul. We feed our mouths. We feed our phones. But how often do we feed our spirit? There's a kind of hunger that doesn't come from the stomach. It comes from the soul. And when that hunger is ignored, the brain grows quiet, empty, forgetful. You see, memory isn't just biology. It's meaning. It's emotion. It's connection to something bigger. A person who feels useless will forget themselves faster. A person who wakes with purpose will remember their own name until their last breath. So ask yourself, what gives your life meaning? Is it your family, your garden, your faith, your creativity? Lao Tzu reminds us, to the mind that is still, the whole universe surrenders. But in order to be still, we must first feel alive. One 90-year-old woman in Sardinia, another blue zone of longevity, said, "I don't worry about dying. I only worry about not laughing today." Your brain needs joy. It needs wonder. It needs awe. These emotions light up the prefrontal cortex and hippocampus like fireworks. They protect your mind in ways no drug can. So, sing, pray, paint, Laugh with someone you love. Not someday, not when it's convenient. Today. How to begin healing your memory. If you've seen yourself in any of these silent killers, don't panic. There is no shame in forgetting. The only danger is in not noticing. Here's how to begin your healing. 1. Create 1 hour of sacred silence per day. No screens, no tasks, just quiet. Let your nervous system reset. 2. Walk daily, not for fitness, but for presence. A 20-minute walk can be medicine for the brain. Feel your steps. Breathe with the trees. Let thoughts pass like clouds. 3. Name what you feel, out loud or on paper. Joy, grief, fear, love. Give your emotions a name, and they will stop stealing your memory in silence. 4. Try one new thing each week. A new food, a new path, a new idea. Keep your brain curious, and it will stay young. 5. Feed your soul every morning. One small ritual that reminds you, you are alive. You are loved. You matter. Final thought. There's a quiet epidemic happening all around us. People are